Yeah, that campaign, the Tuesday campaign, is currently fighting through uh, a Minotaur maze dungeon, finally making their way to the vampire's castle, which should be fun. I'm planning on that being sort of a kind of a Bond villain vibe where like they finally break their way into the castle and there's some stooge of the vampire that's like, "Oh, you're finally here. Let's, I'll escort you to dinner. Would you like to freshen up before we?" Just like a completely like mood changing vibe. They got to the maze because they basically fought and they fought the cursed avatar that of the deity that was sort of protecting the island, defeated it, and sort of restored part of the curse, and learned that there was a secret passage underneath the old church that would lead them kind of underneath the cursed forest and into the. So they kind of had an option: would they go through the forest they can't see through because of the fog, or go down into this crypt and these kind of uncharted tunnels, this maze like set of tunnels, and they opted for the tunnels, which I would have been happy either way because cool stuff either direction. But and so rather than there being just one Minotaur, it's actually a series of Minotaurs. It's actually I sort of created a Minotaur like demigod called Soul, TOSL. So it's a lost spelled backwards. And this Minotaur specifically sort of inhabits areas of importance that become lost. So these caverns were sealed up, but at one point they were like burial chambers, and there were like rituals that were completed down there. But because of everything that happened, it was basically shut down. And so now, um, Soul is this sort of Minotaur appearing, or sort of Minotaur type of demigod that is almost trying to force the place to be remembered by challenging anyone who passes through it, right? Where it's like either this place will be remembered by the people that fall, or the people here will be strong enough to carry the story on. Sort of a hackneyed idea, but it's been helpful for sort of fleshing out the cave. A bunch of minotaurs, yeah, which has been fun because they're charging bowls from different directions and stuff like that. I think there's some ideas with the soul god that I could flesh out more fully, but that's the thing in my games. I only need it to the extent that it actually affects the game, or to the extent that the players engage with it, and to the extent that they don't, it just kind of goes in my notes and I save it for the future. The Wednesday night group just finally exited a mega dungeon, designed some, or took a first stab at crafting their own legendary magic items. They're level 13, and I need to take my own shot at their magic item ideas, um, and try to revise them into like actual workable stat blocks. Um, Kind of a fun idea. They got to the end of this dungeon, or the bottom of this sort of fractal based dungeon, which is part like Quantum Realm, part Underdark vibe. And there's a forge at the bottom of it with this ancient magic that if they basically toss something in and a whole lot of spell components, a very expensive ritual, they can effectively sort of craft their own legendary magic item. And there's two other locations like this in the world, so they don't feel like they have to like get it perfectly right. They can kind of create something that's it almost feels like at level 13 it feels like another round of character creation, because they're all picking items that are very sort of specifically tuned to their characters, which makes sense. That's what anybody would do. But it's been pretty fun. Obviously, there's no rigid structure to doing something like that, so it's been a bit of trial and error. I basically asked them to give me whatever ideas and hopes and wishes they may have, and I'll take a crack at it and we'll revise it from there. Try to make something that everybody likes. I'm sure I'll do some magic item designing on stream.